watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
Welcome to another edition of The End Zone. I am Colby Daniels, along with my co-host, TJ Eckert, and joining us this week from 107.7 The Franchise, Matt Burton. As guys, it is finally November. It's the best month of the college football season. Conference races are in full swing. We have the college football playoff bracket to discuss, and angry fan bases here in the state of Oklahoma, especially with bowl hopes looming.
I was going to say, is it the best month of the season for us? For Oklahoma fans? Oklahoma State fans?
Traditionally, November is
nationally,
a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nationally, yeah. This is normally a really fun time of year, but right now there's so many things to talk about. I know Matt will jump on the Sooners first, and this needs to be an important month of November for them. It used to be Championship November. I don't think we call it that anymore.
Yeah.
But it's an important month for Brent Venables' group.
It's turned into let's make a bowl game November.
Okay,
I think that's
what
it's turned into. But yeah, I mean, with the injuries at wide receiver, with the offensive line where they are, it's tough to watch right now. It really is. And the SEC availability report came out last night. Felt like more names get added to that every single week. So it's like every other week, tune in and just see who goes out there and play.
Right.
There was small progress against Ole Miss offensively, right?
Yep.
Clearly they were going to have success against Maine, which they did. I think a lot of people ask, how much of the success against Maine can you tangibly take and feel like you can look for that against Missouri?
Well, I was saying last week, too, the thing that you can take away from Maine, with some of the young guys like Ahito Zaida, like a Logan Howland, those guys are young, too. Like, everyone wants Eddie Pierre-Louis, Eugene Brooks is to play and all that stuff, but Zaida and Howland are very young, too. And for me, last week, I equated it to basketball, right? Just see a few go through. Get that muscle memory down and see it actually work in action. And see if you can translate that to, SEC defensive linemen, right? To blocking those guys. So I think that's important, just executing.
Yeah, definitely. Missouri feels like, to me anyway, that their best chance for a win these last three in this. Yeah. Alabama looks vulnerable. LSU on the road, that's going to be tough. But it feels like if you're going to win one and you're going to get the bowl eligibility, it's got to be this one.
It has to be. I like where your head's at with Alabama looking vulnerable. LSU, they're at night in Death Valley. It looks like a daunting task, but right now you got to handle, hopefully, a Brady Cook-less Missouri team. Hopefully Drew Pine, last time out, 3 interceptions. I think only threw for 50-something yards against Alabama. So you got to take care of business in Columbia. And it's going to be a big game for the fan base, too, because they've spent all offseason and up till now just bickering with Missouri fans online.
It's been great.
How do you feel about what the offense has been able to do since the big change?
I've liked what I've seen, just some flashes of things, right? I think you've seen some growth here and there. But, again, I can't take too much away from Maine. I've liked what I've seen from Javonte Barnes. He's been such a surprise from last year, whatever that was, whether it was injury, whether it was, I don't know what it was, but he just didn't capitalize off his true freshman year. And then just seeing the step that he's taken, he's been probably their best player on offense, despite what we talked about with the offensive line, the injuries, and just being young. He's still produced at a pretty high level. So I'm a big fan of Javonte Barnes.
Keep an eye on Jackson Arnold. I know people have been frustrated with him. He's been benched already this season, but he's still technically a sophomore. I mean,
right.
Really only started basically a full year now. I mean, he's only played in 7, 8, 9 games,
right,
if you do the math on it. So it's still early for him. He's getting better every week, it appears. And again, Maine is notwithstanding. He looked better at Ole Miss.
Right.
Body language has improved, right? Confidence,
good. Leadership-wise looks better. Once you're told it's your team and you don't have to worry about anything else, sometimes that helps too.
And if we go back, I still feel like it was the right thing to do to pull him in that Tennessee game because you're still undefeated, right? Your defense is playing great. They're getting you turnovers, and it's game day, right? All that stuff. I think that was the right decision. But as we've moved on, Brent Venables talked about the body of work, and Michael Hawkins in that South Carolina game. It felt like a fever dream what was happening. It didn't feel like it was real. The start to that game, and I kind of liked what Jackson Arnold said when talking to the media too after some of these recent performances. Just like, okay, I feel like what is there to lose, right? They've already lost 4 games, right? It's what is there to lose? Go out there, play with some confidence, and play like you have nothing to lose.
Yeah. Speaking of nothing to lose, I kind of feel like that's maybe the approach Mike Gundy had this week in the media. He feels like they've lost 6 straight, nothing to lose, let it all hang out there. His comments have stirred up a hornet's nest in Stillwater. Let's listen to the head ball coach at Oklahoma State.
kind of the synopsis of all of this is that this place has had tremendous success for 18 and a half years or 19. I can't do the math real good, but and so
that one makes me laugh too.
Unfortunately, in life, most people are weak, and as soon as things start to not go as good as what they thought, they fall apart and they panic, and then they want to point the finger and blame other people. You see it happen in everyday life. People do it all the time. That's why I refuse to watch the TV and watch the news, because I get tired of people complaining and bitching about this and that versus just doing something about it and trying to figure out a way to make it better. Well, that's what happens in college athletics. And as Jenny said, she's exactly right. It's just on the bigger stage where people can voice their opinion. And in most cases, the people that are negative and voicing their opinion are the same ones that can't pay their own bills. Right. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their own family. They're not taking care of their own job, but they have an obligation to speak out and complain about others because it makes them feel better. But then in the end, when they go to bed at night, they're the same failure that they were before they said anything negative about anybody else.
Ouch. Ouch.
That was Monday. So what a start to your week. And being called a failure, you can't take care of your own family. Like,
he has since issued an apology via Twitter on election night, right? Maybe hoping to slide that in there, but I don't think anybody is taking that as a real apology, or at least my perspective is the Oklahoma State fan base has not really accepted that very well.
What do you think?
I'm scared to talk about it because that might mean I'm poor, so I don't know. But no, I think great timing, like we talked about on the apology tweet. Fantastic timing.
News dump, right?
No notes on the timing of that. It was perfect, flawless. But yeah, I think we were talking about some of the Twitter replies to tweet like, "Hey, excited to go to Fort Worth," and the fan base has responded accordingly on that.
I can't afford it. I have to work another job. I have to get it on a bootleg stream. I can't afford
my
cable.
rent is 3 weeks past due. I can't make the trip to Fort Worth. Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, come on, man. I know his comments were not directed at OSU fans. Yeah. I think we all kind of know that. But when it came out, and he said
at the beginning of the quote, he says, "We've had so much success for 18 years." That's what I think derails the context of that quote.
And then he says, and you're seeing it every day in college athletics.
Right.
Like, if you leave that line out, then it's just like you're talking about everyday people.
It's tough.
That's not 2 sentences on Twitter for the apology. That was really heartfelt, I felt.
I guess the good news is OSU fans are not talking about the defense or the quarterback play. They're talking about the Gundy
He's a great distractor.
So it's a distraction from the TCU game this weekend. All right, we've got to take a timeout. We're going to talk college football playoff bracket on the other side of this break. Matt Burton joins TJ Eckert and I here on this week's edition of The End Zone. All right, guys, the very first college football playoff rankings in this new 12-team format have been released, and our projections of the bracket based on this week's rankings have generated a lot of hot takes. I'm just curious in general to get your take on what watching this thing play out would look like, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see big matchups in college football, big meaningful matchups in college football.
What do you got?
I think if you're number 5, Ohio State, early on, it looks like 5 might be the place to be, because you might get the group of 5 champion and then the worst of the Power 4 champions, and you're in the semifinal.
Yeah,
just like that.
That's something that's been talked about. Is it almost a disadvantage to be the number 1 team in the country, because you're having to play 2 pretty good at-large against one of 2 pretty good at-large teams, if that's the case. If you're the number 5 seed, you get a home game. It's at home. You're playing against the worst team to make the playoff.
Probably the non-Power 5 champion, right?
And then you're playing the worst conference champion, which I know BYU is in the Big 12, so we talk about them. But, I mean, looking at the other ones, that's probably the easiest road if you were to have a take there.
How about the difference in the path for number 5 and number 6? They're only separated by 1 ranking spot, but number 5 has Boise State and BYU versus Alabama and Miami. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Texas, no favors given there for sure. You talked about this too. In the first ranking, the SEC and the Big Ten are the only 2 with multiple bids, right? Each have 4. Is that what we discussed?
Yeah, that's right.
That's interesting.
My question is, what happens when Notre Dame, if they lose, does the Big Ten get another spot? Does the SEC get another spot? Or do the ACC and Big 12 become two bid leagues?
And then we talked about it, too, before we started this. 13 was A&M and SMU. SMU's 13, A&M's 14, we think. So those are the two teams that are the first two on the outside looking in. Normally it's the talk of who's 5. Well, now it's who's 13. And there's always going to be a discussion about that, no matter how many teams you put in the bracket.
And
now,
not only,
there are a lot of teams in this bracket right now that probably could lose again, and they're still fine. Now, Indiana might be one. You know, they probably disappear. But the SEC still has the opportunity to get a couple more teams in beyond what is currently on the bracket.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. And also, it's the highest ranked conference champion. So it's not Power 4 conference champion.
Right.
So
that's right.
If BYU loses, let's say a couple more times, but they win the Big 12, but Boise State wins out, you could see Boise in the 4 spot here. So that's interesting.
It's very interesting to see. And again, we knew that the SEC and Big Ten would be well represented. I'm curious to see if any other conferences are able to get more recognition, more spots. I'm not imagining that's going to be the case, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I know the process of arguing who's in, who's out can be maddening, but sign me up for meaningful college football. This is going to be so much fun to actually watch it play out.
Meaningful games, home games that are playoff games.
That's right.
I think that's cool. Also, I want to point out, just really quick, step out of the way.
I
don't see OU, OSU, or Tulsa on this. I didn't know if you were covering it up. You weren't.
No.
None of those teams.
Maybe a late push. You know, we still have a few weeks for the committee to make up their minds.
UCO, roll shows.
Roll shows, baby.
Yeah, two
up.
shows here.
Hooves up.
Hooves up. They're on the D2 regional rankings. They are. So there's a good chance that we do have some representation in the postseason.
All right, let's take another timeout, and we're putting Matt Burton in the hot seat. It's Moving the Chains next on the End Zone. The votes are in, and Moving the Chain is officially America's favorite segment here on the End Zone.
Good job, America.
Matt Burton joins us this week. Matt, simple process. We're going to throw questions at you. You answer the questions. We judge those answers and either give you positive yardage or negative yardage.
Okay.
You're going to start with 1st and 10, and the goal is to move the chains.
Got it.
So, first question out of the gate. Rank these teams in terms of most disappointing season to least disappointing season. I'm going to give you Michigan, OU, OSU, Florida State, and USC.
Okay.
There's a lot of disappointment under that umbrella.
I might go 1 Oklahoma State because I thought that they could win the Big 12.
Okay.
I mean, they had the entire offense returning, had a lot of key pieces returning on defense. So I think Oklahoma State is up there. Florida State was preseason top 10. So they are 1-8 now. So I'll go them second. I think USC might be third as well, especially when you count in that they beat LSU in the first game.
They were top 25 to start the season and had the LSU win.
And then it's gone downhill from there. OU, I would say, is right there. I didn't have much expectation for Michigan.
That's fair.
You lose 18 guys to the NFL. There's going to be some.
They weren't preseason
regression.
top 10, though.
That's very true.
But maybe that's more of an indictment on the AP.
And winning the national championship.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a 5-yard gain on that. That's a good.
Thank you.
One, because it was the right answer, because that was what I was thinking. But 2, because you remembered all the teams. I had a hard time thinking in my head what teams.
Okay.
So that was good. So
Nice.
good job. We're going to go second and 5 now. Brent Venables talked a couple weeks ago about all 5 of the Sooners' injured wide receivers expressing interest in coming back. So it's Burks, Farouk, Andrew Anthony, Nick Anderson, all those. How many of those 5 do you think actually come back?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would say 4 or 5. 5 or no, 3. Excuse me, 3 or 4.
Okay.
3 or 4. Let's go. Final answer. 3.
Do you have a guess on which 2 don't come back?
I would say Deion Burks does not come back.
Okay.
And go ahead and give me Andrew Anthony. Doesn't come back.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. I agree with your answer. I think 3 is a good number. I think it was poorly delivered.
It was. That's an inside zone straight up the middle -1 gain. I get that.
That's gonna be a 3-yard loss.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
That's
fine.
Okay, so 3
quarterback sack.
So we'll say 3rd and 8.
Third and 8.
So here's one for 3rd and 8. We just did the playoff segment, right?
Yeah.
What's the right amount of teams for a college football playoff? Is 12 good? Do we need more? Do we need less? What do you think?
I think this is pretty good. I mean, just
12?
talking about that bracket right there, that got me fired up, man.
Okay.
And I think 12 is perfect. And I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Okay.
Anything more than 4.
I'm with you. I love that format, and it still keeps, I think, a lot of excitement with the regular season and who's going to get those spots. So I'm going to give you 7 yards.
That's good. That's nice.
And we're going to attempt to move the chains on 4th and 1.
Fourth and 1, yeah.
So 4th down. Let's hope that you are. Yeah, you're not punting. Is it too early for Christmas decorations?
Oh.
I know it's early November.
Geez.
But I'm seeing Christmas decorations out and about, so what do you think?
I am very much a let's get through Thanksgiving guy. Let's get through Thanksgiving, and then you can go there. Now, I'm fine with Christmas music, but setting up the Christmas decorations, we got to set up the Thanksgiving.
You're fine with
first.
Christmas music
Being
right now?
Sure, yeah, that's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to listen to it, but if you want to, that's your prerogative. But as far as decorating, we got to get through Thanksgiving first. We got another major holiday coming up.
TJ is stressing over here.
Listen,
about how
we've never not given the first down before, Matt, and I'm genuinely wondering if this is going to be the first time.
Because I won't put up Christmas decorations?
No, it's not the decorations. It's the music.
It's that you gave the green light to music over decorations.
You know what? Sister Station Magic is playing Christmas music now. So I'm just being accompaniment here, okay? That's what I'm doing, TJ.
No, I mean, turnover on downs?
That's fine. I'll be the first one.
This one's on you.
I'll be the first one. That's okay.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what, you called a timeout. We'll have to think about it during the break, I guess. We'll figure it out later, I guess. Man, I don't know. It was looking good, and then here we are. We're struggling. I don't know where to go from here.
All right, we're going to have to go to replay, and we'll let you know on the other side of the break whether it's a first down or we've had our first stop. Game picks next on the End Zone. After review, what are we doing? Are we going?
Yeah, it was
turnover on downs.
One of those. It was like the call on the field stands.
Okay,
like there wasn't enough
That's
evidence
good.
to show. So your quarterback sneaked it. We couldn't really see the spot on the field. They gave you the first down. It's just I'm a Christmas fan, so I'm kind of leaning in that direction. But
turnover on downs.
It was tough.
There we go.
We'll give it to you.
You know what? It was fun.
It's fine. It was good.
Nonetheless, it was fun, and you've made history. So
that's good. Yes, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I will take that.
You're a pioneer. Here on the End Zone. All right, it's time for game picks. Let's take a look at last week's record. TJ, you have won like 3 weeks in a row, but it dropped off.
Didn't win
last
week. Yeah, last week was tough. What have we learned? Don't pick OSU. But we'll see what happens.
That's right. Overall standings, you were really cutting into my lead, but got a couple back.
Still time.
Still time. Still a lot of football to be played. So
yeah. Let's see what we got here.
There we go. All right, game number 1 this week. We have the Big 12 leader in a rivalry game against the team that everybody thought would win the Big 12.
So I think that this game means more to BYU at this point in the season than it does to Utah. So I'll take the Cougs on the road.
I am also taking the Cougs on the road. They still got a lot to play for. Seeing that number 4 by their name, I think they're bringing it.
I mean, Utah's got to show up one time. I said this about OSU last week, and I was wrong, but they have a good defense. I think they can at least stay within 4, if not pull off the upset in a rivalry game on their home field. And I think BYU is good, but I don't think they're just so good that they run away. So give me Utah on the points.
Okay.
All right, game number 2 in the SEC, Georgia at Ole Miss. This will be a fun one.
Ole Miss really hasn't shown me anything against good teams, and I think Georgia's still on the climb back, so I'll take the Dogs again on the road.
I am also taking the Dogs. 2.5 is just too low points. They're definitely winning by more than a field goal.
Georgia is the better team, and if I'm only giving up 2.5, give me Georgia.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The game of the weekend, and what is probably an elimination game in terms of the college football playoff, Alabama at LSU.
I think the LSU band will be playing neck a lot. It's a night game, so I'm sure the fans will be fired up for that. And they're a home dog, so I'll take the Tigers.
Give me Bama on the road. I think they bounce back in a big way, man. Keep this rolling.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like both of these teams are having like an identity crisis. I just feel like LSU's lows maybe are a little bit lower than Alabama, and Alabama's ceiling is maybe a little bit higher, so give me the Crimson Tide on the road. All right. Oklahoma State, I keep saying it's got to happen some week, right? TJ, is this the week that they turn it around, that they finally win a conference game?
This is the week they cover. 10.5 is a lot on the road. TCU's won by 2 games against Power 5 opponents by over 10.5. They won by 11. So I'll take the Pokes to cover, maybe not win, but cover.
Guys, you're better than me. I'm going TCU minus 10.5. TCU can put up some points, and with OSU's defense right now, I'm sorry, 10.5 is too low for me.
Okay.
I feel like I can say OSU has the worst defense in college football.
Yeah. Statistically and just
and I mean TCU can score points, but I feel like their defense isn't that great either. So
10.5
points.
Yeah.
Give me the points.
34-24, you win.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a lot of points.
Yes.
So I think TCU wins, but I'll take the points. All right, Oklahoma started as an underdog this week, but they're now the favorite on the road against Missouri.
I think OU's got a little motivation with this one. Caden Green news, all that stuff in the offseason. You can say it means nothing. I think it means something. So I'll take the Sooners on the road. Why not?
This may be a little bit like a happiness hedge for the people out there, but I'm going Missouri plus 2.5. I just, against SEC competition, just have not seen it. You have to show me something, OU.
Give me the Sooners. I think they're going to get it done, and the fact that Missouri isn't who they were a year ago, and their quarterback situation, I think, leaves a lot to be desired. So give me OU. Matt, we appreciate the time,
Appreciate you guys.
we'll be
Good
back
job,
on the
Matt.
End Zone next week. Everybody have a great weekend.